G'day guys, I'm about to start building a kitchen at home and I need a way to cross-cut full sheets of melamine and MDF. In the past I've just clamped a piece of timber or metal across the sheet to use as a guide, but that can be really easy to miscut or be inaccurate. If you're not careful, the saw can wander and it's not hard to be a couple of millimetres out. So the solution to this is to use a track saw. There's some really nice products available, but at this stage I just can't justify the cost. So why not build my own? Now, I've had a look at what others are doing and there's some really great examples on YouTube, but most of them require screwing some sort of bracket or guide to the bottom plate of the saw, which I'm really not keen on doing. So I needed a way to just pick the saw up and use it, and this is what I came up with. The saw sits between two rails and slides on a sheet of 3mm aluminium composite panel. The rails are 25mm aluminium square tube and are joined with these 90-degree plastic blocks. I bought the tube and the connector from our local aluminium supplier, but you can get them from some of the big box hardware stores or eBay or Amazon. The aluminium composite panel is easy to use. It can be cut with any saw blade or even a Stanley knife. But it's also very rigid and light. It's used a lot in the signage industry, and I'm sure you could get an offcut pretty cheap if you just pay a visit to your local sign shop. This piece is black on both sides, but generally white is used more often. I started out by measuring the width of the base plate on the saw and then cut 2 lengths of tube the same size. I then cut 2 longer lengths of tube for the side rails. I made these about 1.8 metres long. They could have been shorter, but I'd rather be too long than too short. You can see here how easy it is to put the frame together, and it's not too hard to pull it back apart again if you do have any issues. From here the assembly is pretty easy. My initial plan was to screw the composite panel to the square tube, but because I needed to countersink the screws, there wasn't enough wall thickness left in the tube. So plan B is to double-sided tape the tube to the composite panel. You can get the tape I use from any auto repair shop. It's generally used for attaching bumper strips to car panels. The one I use is not a name brand, so it's not that expensive. It's a good idea to use a plastic squeegee or some sort of scraper to make sure it's pushed down properly. I then peeled the top layer of the tape off one edge and stood the rails up on their side. This meant I can press the panel on and have it flush with the edge. Then it can be turned over and put the saw in place and tap the free rail in and out until the fit was snug but not too tight. Then I flipped it back over and pre-drilled a hole in one corner and removed the tape liner from the end tube. The last bit was to remove the remaining tape liner from the other long edge, again using the saw to get a good fit. Once all the edges were stuck down, I could put a screw in each corner just to make sure it was locked in place. With the assembly complete, the only thing left to do is to cut the blade channel. And that's it, done. Now for a test cut. If you've got a good eye, you'll notice there's not much dust from this cut. This was actually a fake pass because the battery on my camera went flat, of course, during the initial cut. But at least you can see how easy the saw slides and how well it cuts. You can see here the cut was not only straight, but the edge is perfectly clean as well. This may have a bit to do with the zero clearance channel that I cut in the base. The blade is not all that new, so not perfectly sharp, but either way I'm happy with how well it cuts. The only disadvantage of this setup is the height of the square tube. It means I can't get a full depth cut from the saw because the motor interferes with the rails, but I can still get about 20mm deep, which covers most of the materials I'll be using in the future. Other than that, it works perfectly. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, and thanks again for watching.